Hello. I find myself in latex and I thought, I am not going to waste this opportunity. I haven't released this before, so we're just gonna go off the cuff. If you have any questions, please ask them in the question box below and I will answer them if I feel like it. If we have no questions at all, I will simply talk, which I can do also. So maybe we'll start with latex. How about that? Since we are on the topic, I did try to make it more conservative, but it didn't work out. Anyway, this is what we got. And today we have latex by, who is this by? This was bought for me from a store in München. So I'm not sure where the bats are from, but the top are polymorph, where I got it in Purple Passion in New York. So if you have questions, please put them in the question box below and let us go. Here we go. So, do you have to put oil on to get into the latex? Goddess. The oil doesn't really work with latex. It is, in fact, it degrades it and it can make it easier to tear. So I would say no oil. What I do use, actually I have it right here because I may have been shining myself in videos that we will not talk about here. But this is something that's very helpful. It's called Dressing Aid by Pure Cult and by Pure. And I put it on my skin. Some people react badly to that, but for me it works. And then I pull it on like a stocking. And it's the same with arms if you've got a cat suit. Some people subscribe to the powder talc, but I find that the Dressing Aid works very well for me. And I can also, if I'm not super precious about it, use it as the shiner on top as well. So if you have the questions, please put them into the question box down below, because if you put it in the comments, it just goes so fast. Again, you don't have to ask me about latex. You can ask me about whatever. It's just, I'm in the latex. So, okay. But we're going to talk about latex, continue, because I don't mind it. How do you not get super sweaty under the latex? So I had a conversation about this today with the sub who was with me. And apparently a lot of people from where I am in my region, we have less hair and therefore less follicles to sweat from. And I actually don't really sweat in latex unless it's incredibly humid. It has to be like equator level humid for me to break out into any form of a sweat. Other than that, it's a little bit moist. It's a little bit moist, but not like pools where you can see people in. Okay. This is interesting. Do you think you'll ever be in a relationship in the future with just a single partner? Do you mean like a monogamous relationship where I play with nobody else? Unlikely. My interests are far too wide-ranging for me to just zoom in. I think I will always have play partners. Are you straight, gay, both, other? I am pansexual. Look it up. What is your favorite toy for impact play? I go through phases. What am I feeling at the moment? The cane has a very special place in my heart, but it's the ferocity of my intention that gives such strength that I prize myself on every time. So I give that the glory. All right. Okay. So I recently made my first latex dress. Yay, yes, congratulations, well done. But so scared to wear it out in case it gets hurt. Tips. Oh, it may get hurt. That is one thing about latex. Well, there's many, many things about latex. I wrote a love letter to latex once upon a time. That's on the Erica Lust blog. Maybe I'll try to link to it here somehow. But it talks about how latex is very, it can be quite demanding and precious and you never really entirely know what's ahead of you. It requires a lot of effort, and it can tear on you at any moment. In fact, it's a lot like The Mistress That I Want to Be is essentially my love letter. And so you just kind of have to, take it in stride. I think that if it's your first piece, you got to cut yourself some slack and understand that maybe your construction isn't exact yet, because over time you will understand where seams need to go for you especially, and how things will hold better or not. And so I think you need to just enjoy it. But maybe wear it at home. Maybe let it be a small environment first, and so you get some wear out of it, so you're not completely, too far in. I love that the questions are building up. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're talking, somebody's asking about spit. I don't know if I can talk about that here. Spit, feet, yeah. What's your favorite fantasy to do with your personal slave? Nap? With them in a cage. I don't know. I have so many things that have been managed to be fulfilled in my life, but I still subscribe a lot to in cage, like having people locked up overnight. That's still the most comforting thing for me, that I continue to, when I find out that places have prison dungeon cells, underground facilities, I still get a little twinkle in my eye. So I probably would say that that's the thing that kind of still keeps going. We're talking about nylon. You're asking some inappropriate questions for Instagram. Ooh, what's your favorite latex clothing brand? I would say that the construction on Lady Lucy's stuff is stellar. Like, I'm always amazed at how these things hold together. In terms of, but there's just such a wide range of possible styles. When it comes to construction, I don't necessarily wear a lot of it, but I'm always impressed with Lady Lucy. I think when it comes to crossover, like fashion, I don't mind. Vex clothing can have some very fashion forward pieces. When it comes to like smaller pieces like this, there's so many new designers that are doing smaller things that are very, very amusing and starting to get really quite creative. And I think I'm very excited to see what people are kind of workshopping these days. Of course, you have the classics like Atsuko Kudo, and if you're going to go gowns and like very well made, beautiful things, then Atsuko Kudo has a lot of lovely, even nice touches like little berets and frilled gloves. It's very, very, very pretty. So I think that it really depends what you're looking for. In terms of basics, who has had the best basics? I mean, if only I could find out who made this. But this is my favorite pair of leggings at the moment. The way that it's constructed here is really like, I love how it sits, and it's so easy to get on, which I know that the struggle is part of it for a lot of people, but I tend to not love the struggle too much. So hopefully that answered it. Someone, okay, I think this is kind of crossing a line here, but I'll go there. Do you think that it's possible to become 24/7 DS relationship? And then I'm going to so absolutely, I've seen it happen many times. I guess maybe the thing that I will mention is that you cannot expect, I guess, to not have a functioning communicative relationship alongside the dynamic. I think if you have a fantasy to just be this silent following thing for the rest of your life, that is kind of impractical for a day-to-day experience. When you maybe have children to negotiate, when you have life to fandangle, I think that you need to understand that the reality of life is still around you, even if the dynamic is agreed upon. And also, even if it is agreed upon, there are going to be moments where you're happy and not unhappy with things, and you still have to be a functioning responsible for yourself to a certain extent adult. And yeah, so I think that's where people start to have issues, when they forget that they need to do that as well. Which do you prefer, latex or leather, and why? I think that there's a moment. I am very dependent on mood and feeling, and I think that the way that, and whether I want to move very much or not, because unfortunately latex does have a restriction. Unfortunately, fortunately, some people love the restriction. I have moments where I love the restriction. I think for a day-to-day, I've been wearing a lot of leather, because these pieces just move more easily, especially if you're in big cities and you're taking public transport and things like this, and it does blend in a little bit more. Whereas latex, I think it's a moment to be admired. I think leather is kind of like my buddy that I enjoy, and I treat latex as like a moment of admiration. Everyone's going to have a different way about it, but that's kind of, I think, how it sits for me. So some of you are asking whether I enjoy having my feet worshipped, whether I can show you my nylon feet. I'm not wearing nylons right now, can you not tell? So, so just things that are kind of, not very IG friendly. So be aware that that's not going to be answered, sadly. Okay, so you want to ask to be my pet? That's cute. Well, if you've really figured that out how I want to be approached, you maybe could. People want to send money, that's nice. Again, if you really wanted to, you'd figure out how to do that. So, oh, cute. All right, so we have a question. You look phenomenal. Thank you. Loved the latest nurse outfit post. That was by Skin2, bought at Honor in London. Do you like to see your submissives in it? If they could fit into it and operate to a certain extent, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. I think Aria, the sub girl who I often play with, would have no issues, but I think a lot of the people who I have been seeing lately, you know who you are. It probably, it would amuse me, but we wouldn't be able to get you to do anything but for me to laugh at you. Oh, this is sweet. What drives your decision to picking a potential sub? And do you have male subs? I do have male subs. And what drives my decision to picking them? I get approached more than I go hunting these days. But even in the hunt, there needs to be something reciprocated that I respond to. And that is, number one, attentiveness, and number two, their wits about them. Yeah, you can't just be focused on me and totally lose an understanding of how you operate in the world. It's not going to function for me. So I think that those are probably the number one and two qualities. And then there's many other little things under that. But I think they're good to mention because maybe people wouldn't normally see that as something worth thinking about. But it's very important, actually. And then it's also about timing. It's about my cravings and what specific talents they have in order to satisfy those cravings. You really learn how to avoid certain words in this format, don't you? Again, you telling me about your feet love. That's fabulous, but there's nothing much I can do about that on here. Okay, I don't know if I can talk about the first part of this question, but I will mention the second part. Do you prefer domestic discipline or dungeon discipline? Oh, you didn't say discipline. I guess domestic environments or dungeons. There's a moment in time for both. I think that, my houses always have a cage at least in them and one bondage large area and a smaller, so my domestic is maybe not as domestic as other people's. So yeah, anyway, that's probably descriptive enough for that one. The utility belt looks so beautiful. Do you think you'll make a gold hardware version? Yes, definitely. So the issue was that the metallic clasp on the bag, we had to get that made in gold, and it's just such a convoluted process. But we have the parts otherwise in gold, and I want to release that because I do know quite a few of you are more attracted to the gold than the silver, even though I tend to be along the silver side myself. So thank you for your praise for my utility belt. For those who don't know, the utility belt is something that I made with Elf Joe, and it, do I have it here? I have, let's see. I have it, but with only 3 of the 5 belt loops on it. And I'm traveling today. I'm not going to tell you where. But it also comes with a bag. But I just did this because I was traveling through an airport and I needed it to pull up my pants. Yeah. So there's my utility belt. But let me have a look at another question. If you have any questions, put them in the box. Yeah. Okay. Do I ever want to have kids? Short answer, no. Long answer is complex because of how much care-based relationships I have in my life. Are you not taking sessions anymore? Any plans for San Jose sessions? No plans for San Jose sessions. I definitely play, hence the outfit. But I mostly see people who I already know. And yeah, I keep it pretty close and cozy these days. I don't really leave things so wide-ranging and open anymore. It's just where I am at, I think, in my life and my business. I'm focusing more on collaborations like my belt and film and things like this. So yeah, if you get the opportunity to come across my physical path, lucky you. Let's see. Oh, we're talking about extreme pain. We definitely can't talk about that on here. That's my favorite activity. Probably can't really talk about that in too much detail, nor suffocating. I'm pretty sure that Instagram would not be happy with that, even if some other people are. Okay, here we go. Are you more tequila or fireball? The fact that I don't really know what a fireball is will probably tell you that I'm more tequila, but I feel like I've had a fireball in my youth. And I would maybe like to leave it there, but I'll watch you have many. That was cute. Thank you. It's nice to answer something quite different. It's very sad to hear that you're not taking new people. I really wanted to serve you. I mean, there are ways, but I make it harder. Did you actually make the belt or just design it? No. So Elf Joe are leather workers, and they do lingerie also. And so they've made it. But I said, I want this, and this. And they still make it. Whenever you order, they make it on demand. So let's see. Let's just do a few more. Okay, I think I'm in the Northeast right now. The question is, what's your favorite city in the U.S.? Have you ever been to the Northeast? I think I'm in the Northeast right now. I'm not really sure what you would consider Northeast, but it looks Northeast to me. But favorite city? At the moment, I tend to follow the people who I love. And at the moment, the majority of them in the U.S. are in New York. So I will say that. That said, New Orleans was very interesting for me to observe because it was so culturally different to what I had experienced on either coasts. And I was just in Reno, Nevada. When I say it's one of my favorites, it's charming. Very charming. So I think that there's a lot to be discovered, and I'm not going to limit myself just yet. Okay. Things you wish you knew before buying latex pieces in terms of fit, care, style, etc. that you can get addicted. Buy small first. Yeah, buy small. See whether your skin reacts well to it, whether you react well to it. in terms of fit, fit. I think take the time to try on stuff in a store if you can with somebody who knows what they're doing, because these things can take a lot of practice and you might need support. Is there anything that I would like to have known? That a cat suit is a whole other ball game. Like, it's really lovely to start with small pieces, but when you wear a cat suit, you either get what it is that the fetishists are on about, or you really don't. Yeah. Not sure if there's a middle ground. I'm going to say no. Maybe there is, but I tend to lean on the I understand. Hence the issue and the addiction. Yeah. Is that enough? That's my perspective. So that's enough. Why not? Oh, wow, interesting. We're talking about chloroform. No, definitely not answering that. What are the top 3 things that you bring with you when you travel? This is good because I'm in a hotel right now. Are we talking about my personal things, or are we talking about kink things? We're talking about kink things, aren't we? If I'm going to be playing, I tend to use more leather than I do rope. Rope is very versatile when you're traveling, but it does take up a lot of space if you're bothering with only hand carry. I have something like this, actually, that has quite a few different attachment points on it, and that's very, very useful. So it's actually just a lead, a leather one, but I've got 2 different attachment points, so you can kind of loop things back on it. So essentially you can get very creative with a long belt. You could probably also do it with this, to be fair. Yeah, so that's a piece that I tend to love to have. A collar is great because it can put somebody into a headspace very quickly. Top 3, third one. I carry a chain with me, which might sound a bit unusual, but it's great because it's got an attachment point. Some people react very well to metal, and you can do a lot of restraining with it with just some creativity. So I don't even carry rope sometimes, even with just that belt that I mentioned, with the 2 loops and connectors and the metal, which obviously has a lot of connectors, you can achieve a surprising amount. But of course, this is going to really depend on your interests. Aside from that, I bring 3 very personal items that none of you will ever know about. You can guess what they might be. What's your advice for someone getting into the business? I'm not really sure. Because it's so varied an experience, right? I guess, I'm writing something right now, a guide that's going to talk about every single job that I've had in the business, and how much, and where, and what I felt about it, how it was run, etc. So hopefully that will help you. But in terms of, like, here is a piece of advice, I'm not sure, because we all come with our own whatever to it, I think for me, if I was told how long and hard it could be to overcome internal prejudice and how to navigate the world around me, I would have maybe thought twice about it. It's a real learned skill to deal with the world once you're in this industry, at least at this point in time. To deal with how people think about you, to deal with how people might react to you, to deal with how the people who you meet, people might react to you. It's just like, can be exhausting. And so I think that's something to be aware of. Yeah. And do a business course. Do like a small business management course. Has your clientele changed over your years of working? 2 ways of answering this. So 1, yes, because price point has changed, therefore demographic has changed, because it used to be much more wide-ranging when it was much more affordable. 2, hasn't changed at all, because ultimately it doesn't matter what kind of demographic, people are looking for connection. So there's my answer to that. Maybe one more that I can actually answer, such as the one not about chloroform. Oh my goodness. Or Exington, or Let's see. Have I ever used vegan leather before? Do I like it? I was vegan for a while, and so I only used vegan leather. I hadn't found an alternative that had worked very well long term because it tends to flake when you're cleaning, etc., etc. But I think that's why when I first really got into latex, because you can get like collars and restraints in latex, and when it comes to clothing, I'm much more successful. I definitely have a lot of vegan leather pieces that have really stood the test of time. I'm not really sure what they're using, but I haven't found it in harder things that I have to clean regularly, but I have found it in clothing. So I think we may have gotten through most of the questions that would be allowed to be answered on this platform. Oh, okay. So that's a good one. Let me answer these very quickly. What are the main questions to ask a new potential sub? I think you need to figure out the things that you want from the experience and make sure they're compatible. So you need to ask questions for that. Where do you live? Well, I'm moving to the UK from April, but I mean, I travel all the damn time. Latex versus leather, I already sort of answered that. We're asking about pegging now. Probably not very good. Have you always liked being in front of the camera? Do I like it? I do it. Do I like it? It's fine. I think that it serves a purpose, and I enjoy purpose. So maybe that's an answer to that one. And let's answer a few more very quickly. Ooh, what's your favorite latex color other than black? My problem is that I like to just not have to think about getting things stained, and when you're putting like a light color against a darker color in latex, it can transfer, and it's just like I haven't had very good luck with color. Red seems to be more durable, so I've been touching into red, but I mean it does look so good, doesn't it, in like those purples and those like mid greens. It's gorgeous, but I just don't have the patience for it at the moment. Okay, we're talking about ABDL. No, I don't think we can do that here. Oh, it's my skincare routine. People ask this quite a bit. So I use a vitamin C in the morning and a sunscreen. And I use a retinol at night, but I only started doing these things a month ago. So I guess maybe the trick is to not do very much with your skin. I don't wear foundation either, so that helps. I think, maybe. And exercise has really helped. And I use, it's like really just like super basic moisturizers. CeraVe, I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly. CeraVe moisturizing cream. You can buy it like this much for $5. And it goes everywhere. I'm traveling all the time, right? So it's just like, I want something that's just one thing. I don't need to carry another thing. So that's my routine. And okay, two more. Oh yeah, the chloroform thing is really coming up a lot. It's really not getting answered either. Okay. Okay, how do I feel about blackmail and Findom? I don't know if we can talk about it here. Okay, like maybe we can. Maybe we can talk about it from like an anthropological perspective. I personally do not indulge in blackmail because I feel that the ramifications are going to be too large for me. And I'm not into that because of my identity as a worker, etc. It can be worked into play, and I'm okay with that. So it's like, here's a little threat when we're face to face, but I don't really feel comfortable. And then I close the session, I don't really feel comfortable letting that bleed into life. And Findom in general, I think it has a place. I think that the way that it is published and publicized in the media, maybe not right now, but like a couple of years ago around that time, it got quite sensationalized. But I think that it is a valid interest, drive, and if done artistically with consideration and consent, it can be a very enjoyable time. It's yet another tool. It's just that money is something that we're very reactive to because it means so much else. It means like self-worth. It means like our concept of success. It means injustice. It means so many things. And so that's why I think we seem to have a big issue with it. But in and of itself, I personally don't have an issue with it when it's practiced as I just mentioned. So, thank you very much for joining me on this Ask Me Anything, where I got on because I felt like not wasting this latex outfit, and I will leave it on my feed, on my wall. Thank you for being with me. Bye.